The Ancient Light by Nico Smit. Chapter 1. Answers. A flash of light from the back of the raft repulsed the growing darkness. The newly lit, flickering flame brightened the raft and its passengers. Juan presumed that the big man had lit the torch by using some kind of flint he produced from his backpack. The man stood up and brought the light to where the other two were sitting. He jammed the one end of the torch into a gap between two logs. Satisfied that the lamp was sturdy, he returned to his backpack. Juan turned his gaze toward the other man sitting opposite him, illuminated by the orange light. "Yes," said Juan in response. "I do have some questions. Actually, I have a whole bunch of questions." "Very well," said the man as he leaned backwards on the deck. "Let's start with them one at a time." The man's face was graced by a sly smile. "You may not have anticipated it, but we actually have a lot of questions for you too. So let's take turns asking questions. You can go first." "Fair enough," said Juan, and after a brief pause to gather his thoughts, he continued, starting with the question that perplexed him most of all. "Who are you?" he asked. "My name is Zatu," answered the man. "The big guy behind me is Jemba." Zatu leaned slightly to the side as he pointed over his shoulder toward the other man identified as Jemba. In the dim light, Juan could see Jemba attempt a faint smile and a nod of his head. "Zatu and Jemba," Juan repeated to himself. Zatu responded with a smile and a nod. "All right, but who are you?" stressed Juan. "I haven't seen you around Green Oak Town before, and you definitely don't look like local inhabitants. Where are you from?" "Ah," answered Zatu. "Now that is a question of the more loaded kind." There was a brief pause as he seemed to pick his words for answering the question. Then he responded, "We are not from this kingdom, and therefore we do not fall under the authority of the ruler. I believe you know as Greco. We are from another realm. Depending on who you ask in various parts of the world, we are called by different names. Some simply call us the Rebellion, others call us the Nether Realm, or use the word from the old tongue, Igniet. For our own part, we identify with the one defining constant from which our name is derived. We are the bearers of the ancient light." Slightly puzzled by what he heard, Juan sought some clarification. "But there is only one kingdom. All of Endro is united under the rule of Greco, and the only rebellion that I have ever heard of was crushed centuries ago." Nodding his head in understanding, Zatu clarified, "The rebellion I believe you are referring to is the armed rebellion that happened during the Great War. We are not of that rebellion." Zatu waited a second until Juan nodded his head in acknowledgement. Then he continued, "Our order is much older than that rebellion, and it dates back to the first ages of Endro, to the very creation of Endro itself. The bearers of the light had no part in the Great War." Zatu's eyes seemed serious as he shook his head. He continued, "And to shed some light on your other presumption, I am going to have to tell you that you are incorrect in your beliefs. This is by no means your own fault. Obviously, what you believe can only be determined by what you have been told. The truth of the matter is that the kingdom of Greco is not the only kingdom in Endro." Juan's jaw dropped as the impact of Zatu's words hit him. Zatu continued, "I am afraid that you have been made to believe a lie your entire life. You have been blinded, and the truth has been hidden from you by the darkness that covers this land and all who live therein." Juan heard himself swallow hard as Zatu spoke, giving him extraordinary information. "Greco hates our realm," said Zatu. "He hates it with everything in him. The true bearers of the light were those who never bowed down to him. What infuriates him all the more is the fact that he could never destroy the bearers of the light either. We will ever be the thorn in his side and in that of his dark kingdom." Zatu leaned forward on his haunches, looking Juan in the eyes. "Greco keeps the truth hidden from the people in his kingdom out of his fear for the power of the ancient light. The pure and honest truth is that the light which we bear is exceedingly more powerful than the strength of the darkness that Greco possesses and controls. Greco knows that one day, the ancient light will once again shine over all the land of Endro, crushing the darkness in the end." Juan sat in bewildered awe for a while as he tried to come to terms with what he had just heard. It felt as if his whole world was shaken by Zatu's words. Had he been living in a lie his entire life? Was there actually a life outside of Greco's rule? A whole other kingdom? If these men were who they said they were, then life could never be the same again. He had to go to this place. He simply had to see this other kingdom they were talking about. "Where is this kingdom of yours located?" asked Juan. Xatu once again gave a mischievous smile. "Well, that's just the thing. We can't tell you. Not just yet anyway. Only those who have sworn to the light and commit to our cause have the right to ever know the way to our people. Greco's whole kingdom is trying to destroy ours, but we are hidden from them, making it impossible for them to launch a full-scale assault on us. They outnumber us probably about 100 to 1, so should they ever find us, they will most likely kill all of us." Xatu's eyes challenged Juan's. "So, if you ever want to see our realm, then you will have to be sworn to our cause first, and you have to denounce Greco and his kingdom. You have to denounce any allegiance you have in this land, friends, family, possessions, loved ones. Only once you have done this, may you know the location of our kingdom and enter it. But this will be at the cost of never returning to your old life. This is not just something that you can try out and then turn your back on. Should you choose to do this, you will be marked like us, and evermore Greco's forces of darkness will be able to find and kill you. There are those among them who can discern whether you are a bearer of the light. You will be hunted like a rabid dog in this kingdom, never knowing peace here until one day they finally destroy you." Juan fell back on his backside, processing the information, wondering what to think or say. "I know, it's a bit much to swallow all at once, isn't it?" said Xatu. "A bit?" exclaimed Juan. "It's way too much to swallow. I thought for a second there that I would like to go with you to your kingdom, but now I have serious reservations about this whole idea." "I understand completely," said Xatu empathically. Silence enfolded the party for a few minutes as they drifted down the river. Each man remained occupied with his own thoughts. The quiet was broken only by the lapping of water against the raft logs, the movement of the big man's pole in the water, and the sounds of the night that emerged faintly from the riverbanks. It was Xatu who finally broke the silence. "May I ask you a question now?" Juan stared at him for a second, then nodded. "We are going to stay on this river for the next 4 days, using it to travel downstream. This way anything on our trail will not be able to track us further. Any pursuers won't know where we will get off the raft. So here is my question. Would you stay with us for these 4 days? After that time, you may decide for yourself whether you wish to join with us or go home. Should you choose to go home, we will take the journey back home with you and protect you until you are back at Green Oak Town." Juan thought about this for a good few minutes. He had to admit to himself that these strangers seemed very capable of protecting him. He had witnessed them do some things that he could not even imagine possible. Juan searched his feelings. He felt that somehow he could trust them, though he couldn't point out why. If they will bring him back home again, he thought, then he didn't really see a reason not to go with them. The very prospect of going back home at that moment, in the dark, from the river, was also too terrifying for him to consider as an option. "Very well," Juan said finally. "I will stay with you these 4 days." "I am very pleased to hear that," said Xatu beamingly. There was even a sort of grunt of approval from the large mass at the back of the raft. The big man was still preoccupied with something from his backpack. Juan remembered that it was still question and answer time, and almost as if afraid that the opportunity would pass, he quickly asked the first question that came to mind. "How did you happen to find me? You saved my life back in town, but why were you there?" Xatu put a hand on Juan's shoulder as he answered, "My friend, we did not merely stumble upon the town, or happen to find you. We were in fact there because of you. We came to Green Oak Town specifically to find you and give you a chance to join us." "You came looking for me?" startled Juan. "But how do you even know who I am?" Xatu tried to say something, then just laughed as he shook his head from side to side, realizing how his story may sound to the stranger. "We don't know who you are, and until 2 weeks ago, we had never even heard of you or knew that you existed." Xatu grinned as Juan gaped at him in disbelief. "But then, one of the seers among us had a vision of you," continued Xatu, "and gave the prophecy to our elders. Our elders in turn gave us the command to come and find you, and so we left our kingdom on the sole quest to bring you back with us, if you were to choose to join us." Gobsmacked by Xatu's words, Juan stared at him wide-eyed, his mouth open. Me? But why me? He exclaimed. Zato laughed again. We have no idea. He shook his head. We were only given the part of the prophecy that concerned us. We knew that we would find the Yinka in Green Oak Town, and that they would enter a house to take a young man to join Greco's army. We were sent to find that young man and to bring him back with us. Juan remained speechless. He had never meant anything in his life to anyone. His uncle tolerated him for his dead mother's sake, and his friends weren't particularly loyal to him. He was not special in any way. He was not exceedingly brave or talented in any way. He could not recall that he had any special abilities worth noting. Why would a prophecy be made about him in another kingdom? A kingdom that Juan did not even know existed until a few minutes ago. That brings me to another question, Zato said, breaking the silence. What may we call you? Juan had no idea what to say. Was he given some title or something now as well? Sensing the confusion in Juan's expression, Zato explained, What is your name, young man? Oh, exclaimed Juan, realizing that he had not introduced himself to them yet. Juan. My name is Juan. Well, we are pleased to meet you, Juan, said Zato. There was another grunt of approval from the back of the raft.